Cleveland podcast. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about Kevin Stefanski.
Hey, Dave. This is Cassius, the quintessential Cleveland Browns fan. Today I want to talk a little bit about Kevin Stefanski. I know you don't want to be overly critical of him, but my observation is Kevin Stefanski coaches exactly like he interviews. Blah. He says a whole lot and says nothing. You know, it's just so typical the answers he gives. He avoids everything anybody asks him. And it's like he coaches the same way. Blah. He just has great players on his team, but he isn't doing anything to make anybody shine better or where they're going to outperform what their talent is because of him. Because like I said again, I think he coaches the same way he interviews because of personality will show in all things that they do. There's nothing creative about anything he says, nothing exciting that'll blow you away, and there's nothing he does on the football field. We just have some great players. Do you think he's going to make it, say, past the next 2 years? I don't. Let me hear your opinion on that. Go Browns.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Brad, I've said it before. You had one really good year with Kevin Stefanski, and then last year was a disappointment. So I think he's a good coach, but I could understand where some people would question it. He hasn't had a normal, off-season and preseason. This was supposed to be one, but it sure as heck hasn't been. So there's a lot that goes into that. It was COVID, then there was the whole Baker-Odell thing, now it's Deshaun. It's just there hasn't been a normal off-season and preseason for him.
He hasn't had a normal one at all. It's interesting, this topic, this caller is very intriguing to me because right now America's sweetheart is Dan Campbell, right, from Hard Knocks. And everybody's falling in love with his impassioned, boisterous speeches and his approach, right? So this caller made me think of that. Now, Stefanski is the opposite, but the thing about it is, and he was talking about the way he interviews, that's how you want your head coach to interview. You don't want him to say anything at the podium. You don't want him to give anything away. You want him to say whatever he has to say to get out of there. I mean, we've seen the Hugh Jacksons of the world who would talk about, this and that and every other thing at his interviews, and it was embarrassing. So I think he handles the press really well. I think he keeps everything in-house as a head coach should. I think that he is a sophisticated and canny play caller. I think he plans well. I think he's steadfast in his message about work, one day at a time. All of those things, I think, are positives for an NFL coach. I know that the trend is the Dan Campbell, right? And we saw some of that with Greg 2Gs Williams, right? The rah-rah coaches. But I mean, Dan Campbell cried 4 times in one Hard Knocks episode. How can you possibly, as a team, go through that kind of up and down in a season that's 17 games long? You need a guy that's composed, even keel, and keeps you focused on what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that is Kevin Stefanski. So I feel strongly that he is the guy for this team and will be around.
Yeah, I and again, you got to win. That's the bottom line with head coach in the NFL as well as general manager. If you don't win, you're gonna be looking for work. But
sure,
to your point, players don't learn about what's going on from his press conference. That's the one thing that you will lose a locker room if that happens as a head coach. So we'll see. I mean, again,